The main line has now pushed on through and is heading to the east quickly. Minor coastal flooding is also a potential issue at this point in time as well. So there's the bulk of the rain that came through for the morning commute. And now that we're getting into the afternoon, it's becoming more scattered in nature, but there's still some instability and some moisture back to the west of us that will come through. So I wouldn't put the umbrellas away just yet. But as far as the really heavy stuff, yes, that's pushing up into New England. Again, we are not done, but things will slowly but surely get better. Now, temp-wise, we're still at 54 Central Park, still very mild and wet, 56 degrees for you in Islip. Now your temperature changes. It's warmer by 7 to 13 degrees warmer than what we had 24 hours ago because of that south wind. Speaking of the wind, we have the wind advisory still posted for the entire Tri-State region until midnight, unless it cancels out early. But it does look like the strongest line of those stronger storms is already pushing to the east. So here, this gives you an idea. Right now, these are your sustained winds coming through at 21 miles per hour from the west for you, Central Park. And it was in the upper 50s to low 60s out on Long Island. Now it looks like those highest winds, the wind gusts, are dropping down to below 30 to 40 miles per hour. So it looks a little bit better as the storm continues to clear the area. And we will see a drier sky as we head into the afternoon and the evening. But the temperature changes that we have to talk about, they're kind of nuts. And that's coming up in the full forecast in a little bit here. Bianca?
Ooh, not prepared, but prepared because I did bring an umbrella. So there we go. All right, Mike, thanks so much. To this now, developing at noon, we could finally get a look at the thousands of pages of files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Now, today, that is a deadline for the Justice Department to release them after President Trump signed a bill last month giving the DOJ 30 days just to make these files public. Fox 5's Haley Fixler is in the newsroom right now. And Haley, this could happen at any moment.
It could, Bianca, but right now we are still waiting. Again, today is that deadline, and these documents could include a pretty detailed look at about 20 years worth of government investigations into Epstein and the sexual abuse of women and underage girls. So this is what we know. A new batch of photos released yesterday by House Democrats from Epstein's estate. These 68 images, they're just a small portion of more than 95,000 that the House Oversight Committee received after filing a subpoena for the pictures that Epstein had in his possession before he died in federal jail in 2019. Now, these photos, they show links to well-known men, including politicians, Woody Allen and Bill Gates. However, it is important to note there are no accusations against these men photographed. Now, the women's faces in each of the photos, they're blacked out. Some of the photos are also showing some foreign passports, visas, and ID cards with all of that information censored out as well. The release also shows images from the lines of the novel Lolita written on a woman's body. It also shows some screenshots of text messages regarding an 18-year-old from Russia. Now, earlier this morning, U.S. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche spoke on Fox and Friends about the release of this next batch of documents. Take a listen.
We're going to release several 100,000 documents today, and those documents will come in all different forms, photographs and other materials associated with all of the investigations into Mr. Epstein. The most important thing that the Attorney General has talked about, that Director Patel has talked about, is that we protect victims. And so what we're doing is we are looking at every single piece of paper that we are going to produce, making sure that every victim, their name, their identity, their story, to the extent it needs to be protected.
Todd Blanche also said that the Justice Department does plan to release even more documents over the next couple of weeks. Meanwhile, we are still waiting for today's release. Bianca?
All right, Haley, thank you so much. Also developing at noon, the Manhattan DA asking the Supreme Court to reinstate a murder conviction in the 1979 disappearance of 6-year-old Eitan Pates. Pedro Hernandez was convicted in 2017, but a federal appeals court overturned that verdict this summer, finding fault with how a judge answered a question from jurors. Prosecutors and Hernandez attorneys are also preparing for a possible retrial. They are due in court today to discuss the next steps. And also developing, the Brooklyn DA announcing charges in connection with a multi-million-dollar cryptocurrency scam. Prosecutors believe about 100 people were customers of Coinbase, and they've been defrauded out of nearly $16 million. The defendant, 23-year-old Ronald Spector of Brooklyn, is accused of using a phishing scam to steal the money. The DA says that he allegedly posed as a Coinbase rep, reaching out to victims via text, email, and phone calls, warning of suspicious activity on their accounts. and then convincing them to transfer their money to a new cryptocurrency wallet.
He identifies somebody who actually has a Coinbase account, typically someone who has thousands of dollars or more. He's looking for accounts that seem to have some money in it, and he targets that person.
The DA says that they have recovered over $100,000 from the suspect's home and seized $400,000 of cryptocurrency just off his computer. Meanwhile, one person suffered minor injuries after a massive fire broke out at a bodega in the Bronx and quickly spread. The FDNY says the call came in around 10:30 last night for a fire on Prospect Avenue in the Melrose section. The flames and smoke erupted, growing to 5 alarms and burning through a fruit market, 99-cent store, and neighboring apartment building. Now, the fire chief said that building had already been evacuated, but the cause is still under investigation. All right, the MTA has a brand new program to stop fare evasion. Some say it's cool. Others say it will not last. We're going to show you how this works coming up next. All right, some developing news at this hour. NYC Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani announcing 2 new members of his incoming administration today. Layla Bozorg has been appointed to serve as Mamdani's deputy mayor for housing and planning. Now, she currently serves as New York executive director for housing under Mayor Eric Adams' administration. Mamdani also appointed Julie Su to serve in the newly created post of deputy mayor for economic justice. Su served under President Joe Biden as acting Secretary of Labor until this January and was Deputy Sec of Labor before that.
Our administration will remember New Yorkers that have otherwise been forgotten. It will solve issues that have otherwise been forgotten. And so today, I'm so proud to appoint 2 deputy mayors who will not only work to deliver the affordability agenda that resonated with so many New Yorkers, but will lead the implementation of that new, more expansive approach to governance.
Meanwhile, Zohran Mamdani's newly named director of appointments, Catherine Almonte da Costa, abruptly resigned Thursday after resurfaced social media posts showed she made anti-Semitic remarks. All right, well, we've all seen people jumping over the turnstiles to avoid pain. But soon, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for fare beaters to do that. The MTA unveiling new turnstiles to crack down on subway fare evaders today. Fox 5's Antoine Lewis is live in Soho to show us how they work. Antoine, the last time they did this, they added a little length to the turnstiles, and I've seen people jump over that many times. So I hope this is an upgrade.
It absolutely is. I'm going to step out of the way in just a moment, Bianca, but you won't be seeing anybody jump over this one. Dave Corporon is going to give you a look. These are people exiting, and you'll see in the video in just a moment how it works on the opposite side. But as this lady is coming in now, you scan your card, your Omni card, or you use your phone, however you're doing it. You can tap and pay. And then, okay, I want to talk about that noise in just a moment. Let me be quiet so you can hear it. Okay, there's a reason for that. I'll explain on the back end. But the doors are similar to ones like in the UK and Europe and work to fix an issue that remains a substantial source of the MTA's money problems. Take a look at it. The MTA unveiling new doors here at the Broadway Houston Street station. Now, the doors will replace the turnstiles at the entrance here with panels that allow entry into the subway after the fare has been paid. MTA officials say that this will address fare evasion, which continues to be a problem for the agency and continues to add to its substantial revenue loss. Now, as the double doors are impossible to jump over or climb under. And the doors also address accessibility and inclusion. Take a listen.
Since its inception, we had turnstile that left so many people behind. People like myself who use wheelchairs, but also parents with strollers who had to pay and leave their strollers on the unpaid side to open an emergency gate. People with luggage, if you have a guitar, they all struggle to get through. This is what true access looks like.
Yeah, I love it. I think it saves me time. Yeah, I think we've seen this like in other countries as well, work very well.
It looks like some kind of sci-fi novel, very unlike New York City, very weirdly futuristic.
Oh, come on, ladies. You got to get with the times. Anyway, so let me tell you about that noise. So if someone tries, Bianca, to get through it or tries to evade the fare, if you will, or if you walk up and it doesn't open, that that's the sound that you were hearing. That's the noise that it will make once that happens. But so far in the time that we've been here, we haven't seen anything. People are adjusting to it. You can see how that guy just came right in with that, using quite simply his Omni card, which, replaces the Metro card in just a couple of weeks. This will be the only way you can get in, of course, unless you tap your phone. So right now they are in about 20 stations, similar ones, because this is just one of 4 prototypes that the MTA is considering. So they just told us that this type is also available on 3rd Avenue, one of the stations in the Bronx. But for right now, this is what's in place here. Seems to be operating smoothly. We'll send things now back inside to you.
I'm laughing at the fact that she said very not like New York, very futuristic, as if we're still living in the dark ages. But,
yeah.
That was a funny one. Okay,
everybody's got a thing.
I love it.
Look, it's moving fine.
Yeah.
Like that at the time that we've noticed it, and you'd have to be Superman to try to get over it, or exceptionally small to go underneath it.
All right, Antoine, it looks great. We'll see how it all works out. Thanks so much. All right, next at noon, a potential long COVID treatment you have probably or maybe have seen online. What real science is and what it's not. We're talking about a Mount Sinai expert joining us after the break. Can nicotine cure long COVID? We're going to chat about this.
Plus.
Welcome back. This one's interesting. Long COVID affects millions, and lately there's been a lot of online buzz around nicotine patches as a possible treatment. I'm pretty sure this is one of the first times we have been talking about this. Dr. David Petrino from Mount Sinai is here to break down what the research actually shows and what people should not be doing. Dr. Petrino, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I mean, I went down a rabbit hole on long COVID, Epstein virus, and some people online are using nicotine patches. The first person I reached out to was you, because you have been studying this for a couple of years. Where did you make the connection between nicotine and maybe a cure for long COVID?
Yeah, so I'm always really careful about the word cure.
Yes.
Typically, we talk about treatments right now for long COVID, but it started with a few patients who were coming to us and saying, you know, when I smoke or when I put a nicotine patch on, I really started to feel better. And nicotine is a very interesting chemical. We often have negative associations with it because of smoking and so on and so forth. But as a drug, it actually has this very stimulating effect on the brainstem, where it can halt the release of inflammatory chemicals that can cause a lot of damage and a lot of problems in the body if they're chronically being produced.
Got you. So is chronic inflammation a very true sign of long COVID? Not only just long COVID, but like Epstein virus or other inflammatory chronic diseases?
Yeah, exactly. We talk about infection-associated chronic conditions and illnesses. These are chronic illnesses that are driven by infection, and often if you have persistent pathogens, whether it be herpes viruses like EBV or something like SARS-CoV-2, which can persist in the body for years, as we know, they can cause chronic inflammation. And in short bursts, inflammation can be helpful to the body. But once you move into longer periods of time, it can be very, very harmful and cause devastating long-term effects.
Okay, so how long have you been looking at this, and what have you found, and how far are we along in terms of maybe prescribing this to people?
Yeah, you know, one of the physicians that I work with a lot, he has a thing he calls the rule of thirds. You know, when it comes to long COVID, a third of people will say that a treatment is game-changing for them, a third of people will say it doesn't do much for them, and a third of people will say that it really harms them. Nicotine really follows that rule.
Interesting.
So what we're trying to understand is exactly what are the subtypes of patients who are really responsive to nicotine. What makes them special? What do they have in their blood work or not have in their blood work that would lead us to believe that they're going to be a strong responder?
Sure.
But we are desperate to make those connections and move forward into a point where we can prescribe interventions like this, because right now there are no FDA-approved drugs for long COVID.
So is it something that maybe someone's dealing with this, that they should talk to their doctor or come visit Mount Sinai? Like, how can they maybe understand if they would be a good candidate for something like this?
Yeah, I think that it's something that should definitely be a discussion with a medical provider. And it is quite radical, so, you know, you might expect a few funny looks when you say, hey, have you considered giving me nicotine? But definitely, I think most of the very informed specialists in long COVID that I have spoken to all have an opinion on nicotine, and all have had patients who have either done very well or very poorly using nicotine.
This is the interesting thing about medicine. Maybe it doesn't work for everyone, but when it works for someone, it's pretty incredible.
Absolutely.
Well, I certainly appreciate you being here. 3 minutes is not enough time to talk to you about this. You'll have to come back and give us an update on how your patients are doing with this treatment.
I'd love that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Petrino. All right, we still got more noon straight ahead. Stay with us. But before we do that, we're talking about the weather because, yeah, it's not beautiful outside. Still got some raindrops on our camera there. Mr. Mike Woods, one of our favorites at the Weather Center.
That's a little bit better because you can actually see the sun trying to work its way through. And we're not looking at the pouring down rain that we had early this morning, Bianca. And we are seeing some signs that perhaps the peak of the winds have already come by. Look at the peak winds that we had this morning. And yeah, we had some places that went over 60 with the wind gusts, 64-mile-per-hour wind gusts for you in Great South Bay out there in Suffolk County, Stony Brook, 61, 56 in Teterboro, back in New Jersey, JFK, 55. So you can see those are the winds that already passed by. high. From this point forward, it does look like things will start to relax a little bit because that's the main line, the main cold front that pulled through. We had the heavier showers come through just ahead of that main cold front, and right now that's pushing into the east end of Long Island, and that's where the highest wind speeds are. Then they'll continue to head up into New England. So we're past the worst of it as far as the wind goes. 54 Central Park, 55 degrees in Islip. Now we're waiting for the cooler air to arrive. The wind advisory is still posted until midnight unless the National Weather Service pulls it down early, but as it stands now, still up. Winds are coming in from the south at around 10 to 25 miles per hour. We see the peak wind gusts up to around 35 to 45 miles per hour, but only for the east end of Long Island. It's backing down for you as you head to the west because the peak wind gusts are more pushing to New England, and that's why I'm thinking we already have gone through the worst of it in terms of the winds and the heavy rain, and that's what we see on the radar and satellite as well. So it looks like as we go into the afternoon, we're not in the clear completely because we still have some unstable cool air on the backside of this, and that's going to hang on to perhaps a few more afternoon showers. Your high temp for the day pretty much just happened. That was at around 57, and at this point, we're going to cool it down big time. Low tonight drops down to 29. We could have a flash freeze tonight and a chilly weekend setting up. Rain snow mix wants to come back at you Tuesday of next week here. Bianca, over to you.
All right, Mike, sounds great. Thanks so much. Well, next at noon, ByteDance has agreed to sell the U.S. version of TikTok to mostly American buyers. This is to avoid a ban in the U.S. Now, when this deal is expected to be finalized, we're going to chat about it after the break. Welcome back. TikTok has signed a deal to spin off its U.S. assets and keep the app operating in the United States. The assets would be sold to a group of mainly American investors. Now, a law passed last year requiring the U.S. version of TikTok be separated from its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, or else be banned over national security concerns. TikTok has 170 million American users, and that deal is expected to close on January 22nd. And Walmart is seeing more interest from women for its truck driving jobs. Interesting, the retail giant anticipated a shortage years ago and started recruiting from untraditional places. It also trained workers and offered favorable schedules. But now a report says women are 18% of Walmart's truckers. The company operates the largest private commercial fleet in the world, with 16,000 drivers paid as much as $135,000 a year. Meanwhile, he's a comedian who's gone viral by perfectly parroting TV news reporters just like us. He does a lot more than that, though. But later at noon, Leo Gonzalez joins us live in studio. You got to stay tuned for this one. We're going to put him to the test. Could he be hired at Fox 5? We're going to try it out live. Well, it is 12:30. Welcome back to the Noon. We got a whole lot more coming up here, starting with this. Blending faith and music, a teen flautist credits her church choir for helping her gain acceptance into a prestigious Juilliard program. She is so talented, you got to hear this. Plus, a comedian making a living impersonating us, but he also does a whole lot more. We're going to sit down with comedian Leo Gonzalez. He is so hilarious, so funny. We're going to put him to the test live on the Noon. You do not want to miss this. But let's get another live look outside. You might want to miss this one because I don't want to go outside. I'm sure nobody wants to go outside right now, but hey, we all got work and school. However,
gotta
it's
do
a
what
Friday.
you gotta do.
It's a Friday, so it's like that's what's getting me through the ugly weather.
Yeah, and once we get through this, we're actually in okay shape. In terms of dry weather making a comeback, however, we're not in the clear yet. I may have noticed that shot looks like the rain's making a comeback. We're still looking at periodic showers that are going to be coming through here. Maybe even a thunder shower still has to work its way by. So though the bulk of the heavy stuff is pushed by, we're not done. Still looking at some gusty winds out there. Temperatures are going to tank here soon. We've been sitting in the mid 50s, upper 50s. Now they're going to start dropping as we head into the afternoon. It's going to be shockingly cool by this evening, and it is a colder weekend coming at you. Another quick look at the peak gusts that we saw out there, 60 plus in places like Stony Brook. You had that this morning. Now things are backing off. JFK saw 55-mile-per-hour peak wind gusts. Breezy Point out near the Rockaways over 40. So we had a lot of gusty winds with that main line of storms that came by. That's what escorted the heavier showers on through. And now we have these broken up lines of showers, but we're still not in the clear with the rain yet. And every once in a while, there's a little thunderstorm action out there. Notice this has a rain-snow mix. Guess what? I'm not necessarily looking at snow coming through here, but that cold air will be here before you know it. Wind advisory is still up until midnight with wind gust potential up to around, I'd say, 40 to 50 miles per hour at this point, because that main line where the heaviest winds, highest winds are, is now pressing up into New England. That's where your wind gusts are up to 50, 60 plus. Here for the Tri-State, right now the wind gusts are up to around 30 to 40, and so they they are backing down, but there is more action to the west of us. So we're not going to call it off completely until everything clears the area, and that's not happening until about midnight. Here's the futurecast. It takes the bulk of the showers out of here by this afternoon. Now the cool air is filtering in on the backside. That's going to be something you notice as we get into the afternoon. By the time you go home this evening, it'll be like a completely different day. It almost felt tropical this morning with the mild temps and the wet weather. Now it's the cool, dry weather taking over from this point forward, and it should be dry through Saturday into Sunday, even Monday looking dry, but then there will be more storm chances coming at you Tuesday. So today, periodic showers are out there. High temp, well, it already happened. Temps should be dropping from this point forward. Low tonight drops down to 29. Look out for the possibility of there being some pockets of either freezing rain, or not freezing rain, but icy patches tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's high 39, then 44 for you on Sunday, the first day of winter, and then another rain snow mix comes through for you on Tuesday. So active weather pattern out there for us all together. But I think the big shocker today will be how cold it will be when you go back home, Bianca, after all is done. We're in the 50s now. You'll be in the 30s.
Oh,
just so you know.
Oh, okay. As long as we're prepared.
You heard me.
I heard you. I heard you. All right, Mike, thanks so much.
Okay.
Meanwhile, a teen prodigy is on her way to one of the most prestigious music schools in the world. Now, she says that it's her church that has been the key to getting her there. And Fox 5's Sharon Crowley brings us her story in today's edition of Finding Faith.
The soothing sounds you hear coming from inside St. Thomas the Apostle Roman Catholic Church in Bloomfield, New Jersey, are thanks to the talent of 14-year-old Chidea Asandu.
The flute has such a smooth tone, and it's so relaxing. You could listen to it either when you're going to bed. You can play it in any kind of mood. If you're feeling angry, you can play it as loud as you want. And if you're trying to mellow out, you can play it soft. And it's just so amazing to have.
She started playing the flute during the pandemic. In the 5 years since she first picked up this instrument, her talent has blossomed, thanks in part to the encouragement of her church community.
People would clap, and it's always so nice to have such a family around me.
Chidea performs here during Mass. The musical director and cantor recognized her gifts, helping her to win scholarships for music lessons. The support paid off. Chidea was just accepted to a program at the prestigious Juilliard School of Music.
Music is it's prayer it's another transcendent of prayer, so it's incredibly powerful for me to be able to do that, but even for me to hear it from other people. So when I hear Chidea play, she transcends me and puts me in the moment of prayer.
When you hear Chidea play, it's just amazing. It's hard to believe she's just 14 years old and starting at Juilliard. And later in life, if she doesn't become a musician, she said, I think I want to become a neurosurgeon. How proud are you of your daughter?
Very thrilled, very proud, super excited.
Chinwe is Chidea's proud mother.
She's always loved learning. I mean, she was skipped from kindergarten to second grade, so she's always wanting to do more at a faster pace.
Chidea says her faith plays a pivotal role in her music.
It's been so instrumental, and I don't know where I'd be without music and without God.
Wherever her talent takes her, Chidea will always be grateful to this faith-based community. In Bloomfield, New Jersey, Sharon Crowley, Fox 5 News.
She's incredibly talented. All right, from one talent to another talent, he's gone viral by perfectly parodying TV news reporters and certain situations that are hilarious. Next at noon, comedian and content creator Leo Gonzalez joins us live in studio. We're going to put him to the test.
of all cleans.
All right, he is a comedian who's built a massive following, almost 2 million followers on Instagram by parodying the way TV news reporters talk on air. But not just that, turning everyday moments into breaking funny news. And now he's on red carpets, doing high-profile interviews, even snagging a chat with the former vice president. Comedian content creator Leo Gonzalez joins us now. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Bianca. Thank you for having me.
First
I'm
of
excited.
all, congrats. The success is well-deserved.
No,
I've been watching your videos for quite some time. My dad sent me one of your videos.
Really?
He did, because it was you parodying one of the, TV reporters. And he's like, this guy's funny.
He said, this you.
He's like, this you. And I was like, one day he's got to come on the Noon. And here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, and you're from California,
I'm
too.
from
We're from
California.
California. We're all
the
here
Cali
today.
Kids today. Okay, tell us about how you got into this, and has it surprised you, the fact that it's blown up so much?
That side profile goes crazy. I am surprised. I feel super lucky. During the pandemic, is a lot of people showed up with talent.
Yeah.
It was just a talent show, and I just feel so lucky that I don't know. We just got a cool opportunity to do these random, goofy, silly skits.
When did you figure out, all right, my humor is really hitting, and people are loving this?
I did. It was a news thing.
Yep.
That was my first one because I was working at a local station in Reno, different network.
What?
We won't talk about them.
You started
in
in news.
I used to work
what?
in local news. Yeah, I was a PA.
Look at that.
Yeah.
You want to work here? You want a
I'm
job?
down.
You
I brought
want a
my
job?
resume, Chris. We brought it, bro. Trust me.
Okay, so local news. You're like, all right, I'm seeing what people are doing, and I could kind of make fun of this.
I studied to be a reporter.
Okay.
And so that's why I was like, I'm gonna do it. I applied at the station. We're not gonna talk about him. I applied there, and they denied me. And so I just did it. That was crazy, right?
Yeah.
And here we are, #1 market. 2 news. All right, my fault.
That is hilarious. I love that. So from maybe getting a no to now you're getting so many yeses.
No, yeah, I got super fortunate. Yeah.
The former vice president? What?
Yeah, that was crazy. Kamala, right?
Yes.
That
is her name.
I presented her. I did a little speech with her
awesome.
a few years ago. It was super crazy. I was scared because I didn't want to get tackled, because it was at the White House, which was insane, and I've never been so nervous. It was #1 nervous was White House, #2 Fox 5, #3. It was super cool though, and it was
I love that. When you kind of just change directions in life and you end up in a really cool spot, now you ended up in the #1 market, and we're actually going to put you to test.
Okay.
We're gonna.
I can be a little PA.
No, not a PA. I mean, you want us to be a reporter, so we're gonna give you that opportunity, Leo. What do you mean? We can't come here and we not put you to the test.
Send me out.
So stay tuned real fast. We're gonna be right back. Go to a break. But Leo, we got 3 crazy situations for you.
Okay.
And we're gonna see if you can handle it under pressure.
Okay, bet.
We're
covering the story.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we are back more with Leo Gonzalez. Now, we've talked about his start in the news, but now he's a comedian. He's got millions of followers. We're going to turn things over to him. Hold on, let me put my anchor voice on. Leo, we see that you are live in a very serious condition, weather behind you. Tell us what's going on.
Bro, it is so crazy out here. You can see behind me the conditions. You should not go outside. If you live in this city, which I am, Bianca, you know where I am right now. Don't come over here, okay?
Leo, can you tell us a bit more about the hurricane? Do you know the category of the hurricane that's happening?
It's a Category 6 hurricane right now. The conditions are crazy. Honestly, Fox 5 is wild for sending me out right now. So it's Category 5. You should shelter in place, and I should go home.
We're not sending you home, Leo. We're actually going to send you to one other location while you're here interviewing for a job.
Okay.
Right now, we're going to turn you over to a serious situation in New York City. As you can see behind you, explain the situation going on.
Right. You can see these beautiful, wonderful puppies here. They are actually competing. This is an event that happened here in the city for Halloween, and we're about to show you the shot right there. That's the winner. That was the winner. Quick shot right there. That's the one that won. So they actually got a deal with
Petco.
Petco.
Yeah, Petco, yes.
Yep.
Remember that deal. One last situation for you, Leo, as we're going to send you to the heart of the city.
Give me 1 second, Bianca. I can hardly hear you.
Okay.
You got me?
Some technical difficulties.
I gotcha.
Okay, we got that. Okay, so one last situation we're going to put you in, the heart of the city, Times Square. There's been a crowd of people there. Maybe you can explain what is happening. If we do have that video, maybe we do have some.
I'm actually standing right here. There's so many people. They heard that today was my first day at Fox 5, and so they wanted to come and support. Ooh, let me get out the way. This is a good fight right here. Wait, is that a fight? This is a fight. So everybody is storming in right now. They heard that I was gonna be here, that I was gonna be doing a live weather report, and here I am. They're all rushing the other way. It looks like New Year's Eve just because Planet Fitness sponsored, but yeah, they're all here celebrating the big day that I joined Fox 5.
Oh my God!
So you got to get out here.
We're gonna have to check with the boss first and see if we can hire you.
Okay.
But Leo, real fast before you go, you have to just explain real fast to the people where they can follow you, where you're doing these skits, and what is next for you, because you're doing like some comedy tour stuff and whatnot. You're a busy guy.
I'm busy. I just finished a little tour. We're writing some jokes right now, so hopefully those pan out. And then I want to come to New York, because I've been here to New York before. I went to the stand.
Well, you're literally in New York right now, right behind you.
I am. I'm in Times Square right now. Gotcha. Thanks, man. No, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook,
Facebook,
everything,
MySpace?
MySpace,
LinkedIn.
I got you.
Any big projects coming up? I know you submitted a resume to Eva Longoria. Did she say that she was going to hire you?
We're working on it. She does like a little thing where it's kind of slow. Like she's just like plays hard
busy.
to get.
Leo, you're the best. You are. We're so proud to have you here. So proud of what you've been doing, and coming from a news background, you made it to market #1. We'll say that.
This is crazy. Back to you, Bianca.
Man.
Clear. Thank you.
I can't. Oh my gosh. We're going to be back with more news coming up after this. What a fun show. Stay tuned.
18+.
Well, the lighting of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree is one of the most iconic things to do during the holidays right here in New York City. But there are plenty of under-the-radar things to do as well that are not as well known, which means you do not have to wait in a big old line. Okay, joining us now to point out the few hidden under-the-radar holiday things to do in the city, Brianna Burke, digital content creator at Secret NYC. If you are not following Secret NYC, what are you even doing? How are you even thriving in New York City?
We have all of the spots they should check out, small businesses to frequent.
I like this. Yeah. Okay, so when we normally talk about things to do in the holiday season, it is packed with people.
Overcrowded.
Overcrowded, stressed out. It's like, I don't even want to participate. So you guys have found some interesting things to do that may not be as crowded, which I love. So what's the top one on your list right now?
So top one on my list is the brand new Chinatown Holiday Market.
Oh.
This is in its inaugural year, so not a lot of people know about it yet because they didn't know that it was coming. It's a really, really amazing event that you can pick up holiday gifts at. They have ceramics, art, ornaments, food even.
Love.
It's really amazing and truly not overcrowded at all, and over 35 AAPI vendors frequent the event, so it's a really great opportunity to support a small business that's in and around Chinatown.
I love that. Okay, second one on the list is kind of interesting. When I saw this, I said, huh? For December?
You really need to hear me out on this one.
No, please explain. And the name also is kind of crazy. Twisted Spine.
Yes. Twisted Spine Bookstore is New York City's first and only horror-themed bookstore.
Wow.
It sounds very Halloween-y, but I promise there is a holiday twist to it.
Yeah.
If you think about it, a lot of iconic ghost stories take place around the holiday time. Yeah. Like A Christmas Carol, for instance. And they really lean into that with their holiday decor. They have a gorgeous red Christmas tree that's next to a very cozy fireplace with lots of seating. So it's a good place to sit and read, or grab a drink, a latte or wine at their bar.
Oh, we were talking
friends.
wine now.
Yes.
Okay,
so
you sold me.
Yeah, they have pastry case too, so you can get a little snack, a little treat, and hang out. They also have a ton of winter events. So if you're looking to join a book club or get to know people in these frigid winter months, this is a cozy spot.
Oh, I love that. I love the coziness of it, especially with a glass of wine. And I'm totally forgetting about Jack Skellington.
Yes, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this. Okay, so
there's a thought process here.
The next one on the list, Grand Army Bar. I've never heard of this place.
Yeah, we're moving from a place that has a fake fireplace, a Twisted Spine, to a place that has a real fireplace. I'm kind of blowing up my spot here because this is my favorite bar in all of the city. I go here year round, but it's especially great during the holidays. Very cozy, and they have amazing themed cocktail menus that they rotate out regularly. This year, for winter, they are doing cocktails that are based off of iconic villains from movie and TV.
Oh, okay, so that's why we have Scrooge.
Yes, there's a Scrooge drink, there's a Krampus drink, there's even a beer and shot combo based on Hans Gruber from Die Hard.
Oh my gosh.
It is a Christmas movie.
I love that. That's actually really cool. It's giving like a different kind of spin on a holiday bar. I love that. Okay, so there's a couple more.
Yeah.
Okay, this one I've been to before during the summer. So what do they do during the winter? This is New York Botanical Garden.
Yeah, so the Botanical Garden, even though they have a bunch of gorgeous flowers, they are open year-round, and not a lot of people know that they have a holiday train display during the winter months. So it's great to visit with the family. Kids can come during the day, but they also have nighttime events on the weekends.
That's what I've done.
Yes.
And it's fun.
It's really, really fun. They've got disco ball, they've got music, they've got food and drink, and it's 21 plus, so you can enjoy it for a date night, a girls' night, or just a little hang. And what's great about it is that it's open through the holidays, so you can go to an event there up until like January 10th.
I love that. Brianna, where can people follow you, find out more information, or find out more, because there's more on the list. We didn't even get to it because of time.
Yes.
So where can people get that?
People can learn more about all the holiday happenings going on in New York City at our website at secretnyc.co, or hit us up on Instagram at secret_NYC.
All right, Brianna, thanks so much for being here. Certainly appreciate it. We got some good content for you to do for the holiday season. We got more news straight ahead as well. Stay with us.
on Fox.
All right, final check of the forecast. Mike, what's going on?
I'll tell you what, I'm a nerd, a weather nerd. The cold air is coming through here, Bianca. Temp just dropped another 2 or 3 degrees just with the cold front passing by. The showers trying to come to a close, but there's still a few more off to the west of us. So we're still not in the clear. We will still see some periodic showers out there as your temps fall for the rest of the afternoon. We'll drop down into the 20s tonight with our low dropping down to a 29 in the city. So there could be some patchy ice out there come tomorrow morning, but at least other than that, it should be dry. But look at those cold temps taking back over. High of only 39 tomorrow, 44 for Sunday, and another rain snow chance comes through for you Tuesday. Will we get a white Christmas? We'll have to wait and see. I kind of doubt it on that one.
Oh, I was going to say my fingers are crossed, but
I know, me too.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. That is our show, but before we go, here's one last thing to leave you with. Snoopy and the Peanuts gang will be mostly owned by Sony, which actually purchased an additional stake in Peanuts Holdings for $450 million. Sony now owns 80%. The family of Peanuts creator Charles M. Schultz will retain the remaining 20%. The sale value of Peanuts businesses at more than $1 billion. That is wild. All right, we'll see you Monday. 25 words or less is next. If you want more news, tune into the Fox local app, which is streaming right now.
Are you going to go to the holiday thing? Welcome to our afternoon edition of Newsroom Live. I'm Meredith Gorman here in the Fox 5 Newsroom. We are just 6 days away from Christmas, and unfortunately all of the snow that we got over the last week or so has now melted. Here's a look at downtown Manhattan right here in Midtown. You can see all of the Christmas lights up, the Christmas tree, but the ground is unfortunately wet. We actually have our meteorologist Mike Woods here. He's going to join me right now. And first of all, you look dapper as ever. So
ready to go.
You're ready to go.
Thank you. Yeah, you as well. Let's go.
The people want to know, is it going to be a white Christmas?
You see, that's the big question, because I've been kind of keeping my fingers crossed for that as well. I'm saying there's a chance, but the chance is really, really small. So we got a few things going on here, Meredith. First of all, here's a look at what's going on with the graphics here. We have today's storm coming through. This one just brought us rain. I don't know if you were out there, got caught in this at all, but it was windy and wet and warm. We were in the mid to upper 50s. That's the cold front that's passing through right now that we're seeing on the radar satellite. And it's now going to be, basically, we're heading into a drying trend for the rest of the afternoon. The cold air is making a comeback. So there's one of the ingredients that we need to get a potential white Christmas. Now, the next storm that we see on the Futurecast, that goes to Tuesday morning, just barely gives us a little rain-snow mix, so it's a very small chance, but I'm saying there's a chance. But the bottom line is, today's storm, we're still getting that thing out of here. It was kind of, again, windy, warm, and wet. Now it's going to be trying to dry. We're going to try to dry it out as we head into the afternoon and the evening. Still kind of windy, but the peak gusts are pretty much out of here. The wind gusts got up to 50 to 60 plus miles per hour. Now it's more like 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts, and maybe even a peak of sunshine from time to time. And then tonight, after it clears out, we've got a low temp of 29 degrees, so it's clear and cold. Could be a little icy on the roads. I don't know if anybody's going to be out there doing their thing, but yeah, if you got to get out there.
Last minute Christmas shopping?
Ooh. Wait a minute, I'm a guy.
I know.
This is not last
done
minute
it?
yet.
I know.
Yeah, we haven't even thought about starting.
Christmas Eve is usually when it registers to you guys.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. Spot on. So yeah, so far it looks like we're going into, at least it's going to be quieter over the weekend. Temps kind of back to normal, highs in the low 40s. And that little storm that's coming through, I mean, it still definitely bears watching for Tuesday because it does look like a little rain snow mix. It's our best chance at the white Christmas because after that, it's just kind of quiet. And you never know, that last storm overproduced, remember? It gave us, what, 3 to 7, 8 inches of snow? If we could get that and some cold temps to follow,
I know, it's just so funny, Mike, because when it's snowy in New York City in December, everybody's excited about it. Everybody's taking pictures, posting it to social media.
And then
come January, in just a couple weeks,
everybody's over it.
Everybody's over it. But you know, it was unseasonably warm. It feels unseasonably warm outside today. For those of us who came in a little later than you, it was downpouring on my way to work.
Yes, it was.
For those who are watching and may have to commute home or again run out, do errands, you think it'll be clear?
It is going to be clear. We're heading in that direction. So, I mean, this is really a very interesting weather day for us because the rain, I mean, it started up really early this morning. The worst of it came through late this morning, and now it's kind of breaking up into periodic showers. But the peak wind gusts are now pushing out into New England. So the wind speeds are already relaxing back to around 20 to 30 miles per hour with the wind gusts. So that's good news. But there's still some potential of a few more showers. So I wouldn't put the umbrellas away just yet because I'd say up until about 4 or 5 o'clock, still kind of risky out there. That's what happens on the back sides of these cold fronts. You still get a little instability and a little moisture out there that a few more showers may pop up. So if you put the umbrella away, you're going to get caught. That's
how it works. That's always how it works. But
exactly.
Listen, when you look at the wind speeds that we just saw, is that enough to disrupt flights?
It is. In fact, the airports, from what I remember early this morning, I think they had ground stops actually out at LaGuardia early this morning. I don't know if that carried on into Newark as well as JFK, but certainly some delays out there. There was a ground stop. Hopefully things are improving because now the peak wind gusts are starting to back down as the colder, drier air tries to make a comeback. Here's one thing. When you came in this morning, it was really warm, right?
It was.
Yeah, so it was warm. Our temps were in the mid to upper 50s. Guess what? I just checked the temperature. In the last hour, it dropped about 3 or 4 degrees. So it's going to be cold when you get out of here. Our temperatures will be dropping back down into the 30s by the time you get out of the studio here later on this evening. And so that's going to be a bit of a shocker, a little bit of a weather shock. So I like to put that out there and look my coworker straight in the eyeball because it doesn't seem like it sinks in unless I do so.
You know, Mike, it's like if we're going to have no snow and a non-white Christmas, can we at least have some mild weather? I mean,
let's see.
It doesn't seem like it
exactly.
anymore.
It looks like temperatures on Christmas Day just about average. I remember there being a slight chance, if anything, it was a rain shower that came through in that 7-day forecast. I don't want to talk about that. We're going to wait for something to change. Sometimes things do change. I mean, it's still almost a week out, so sometimes things will change. But we had a chance on Tuesday before for a little snow. If that one kicks up a notch or two, and it stays cold, that's our best shot at the white Christmas.
Perfect. And you know, Santa's sleigh can fly through anything.
They don't handle anything. This is nothing. 60 mile per hour winds, no biggie.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Mike. I know you've had a long morning here. So.
Yeah, but it's a good time doing this. It's good to spend this with you and get into the weekend. Happy weekend, everybody, too.
Yeah, have a good weekend.
Time to get, maybe I should get Christmas shopping.
You should, unless you really like the adrenaline rush of waiting till the last second.
You know me too well.
So.
Thanks.
But you seem like a good gift giver, so.
Oh, I got some ideas. Fun stuff, too.
All right, we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Newsroom Live. I'm Meredith Gorman here. It's 1:10 on this Friday afternoon, 6 days before Christmas. And today is a big deal in the Epstein files case and situation. There is a release that is supposedly happening today. The U.S. Department of Justice says that it's meeting its deadline today under the new Epstein Files Transparency Act to make public a large portion of its files on Jeffrey Epstein. We still don't really have a exact time frame of when this release may be happening today, but I do have an expert joining me right now. This is Alan Sanders. He is a professor of political science at St. Peter's University and an attorney, and I'll have him join me right now. Alan, thanks so much for coming on and joining me.
My pleasure, Meredith. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. So, when people hear Epstein files, what should they realistically expect to learn today versus what they won't see?
Yeah. Well, it all depends on the details. Certainly, everybody knows the general outlines of this scandal, and this horrible scandal involving the trafficking of young girls and young women. What we're really looking for are the details. That is to say, what was this enterprise all about? How many people were involved in it? Who were the participants? Who were the bystanders? Who were the innocents, really? Because the files might actually point that out as well. So what we're really looking for are the details. Now, the files are supposed to be released today. All of them are supposed to be released today. And there are some exceptions to protect the victims and also to protect ongoing investigations. But all of the files are supposed to be released today. Now, already we're expecting and we're seeing controversy because the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, has said, well, they're only going to release some of them today because they're still examining and, the other files. And so wait for the other files to come later than today. So that's controversial because the law says that all of the files must be released today. So expect controversy to surround whatever is released today.
And in terms of names and information being redacted, how much could potentially be redacted in this? Are we expecting to see the whole thing, or it's...
Well, the law says that you can redact for protecting the victims, obviously, and you can redact for ongoing investigations. But the law also says that embarrassment should not be a reason for redacting information, and that the release should be as transparent as possible. So we'll see whether that is true, whether the Justice Department relies on exemptions to withhold a lot of information. But expect that whatever is withheld, for whatever reason, is going to be, again, a controversy. The Democrats are already saying that all the files must be released, and anything that is not released today, for whatever reason, is going to be cause for a major political fight.
And there's some confusion with people who may have, casually heard about the Epstein files and, might have some questions about this. But if someone's name appears in the documents, does that automatically mean they may have committed a crime?
No, absolutely not. Mr. Epstein, like anybody, had a lot of relationships with other people, innocent relationships, business relationships that have nothing to do with the scandal. What this will do, however, it will show the extent of Epstein's connections and relationships. And people are already very wary of the powerful and the elite and the rich. And so even for the innocent names that will appear there, people will say, see, there is a group of these rich people who hang out together and who seek to run the country according to their wishes, whether it's running the country through businesses or through politics or whatever.
And could anything in this release actually lead to new charges, or is this mostly just about transparency?
Well, the Justice Department in the past has said there's nothing there that would call for new charges. But of course, once the documents are released and we know more details, there may be calls from various quarters to say, well, this person or that person should be further investigated and possibly have some charges brought against them. It all depends on what is actually released, what the details are, and who's actually named in those files.
And in big picture here, why do you think it took so long for these files to come out? Who had the legal authority to keep them sealed the way that they have been?
Well, the authority to release them is entirely in the hands of the administration. They didn't need this statute. The president could release anything he wants to right now, regardless of what the Justice Department chooses to release or not release later today. So it's all in the hands of the president. And the fact that he hasn't released everything that was within his control has raised a lot of questions, and many people wonder why that has happened. And of course, you've got a lot of people saying that maybe it's because the president is embarrassed about some of the information that may be in there.
Sure, and shifting quickly to the victims, I mean, what protections are in place for these victims when these files are, eventually released later today?
Well, the law says that they must be protected, and they cannot be identified, and they have to be protected. If some of this information does get out through accident or leaking or whatever, they have legal recourse, of course, but legal recourse doesn't quite make up for the fact that knowledge of information that should not have been released is out there publicly. So legal recourse is there, but it's often an inadequate solution to the problem.
Sure, and lastly, before I let you go, I mean, what type of information and materials are you expecting to see in these files? You think it'll be more photographs, and I mean, what type of evidence could we see?
Well, there could be photographs, there could be email exchanges, there could be correspondence between the people, and of course, the results of interviews by the FBI investigators. They interviewed tons of people. So what can come out certainly is whatever the outlines or the details of this horrendous set of events were. But let's also not forget that Mr. Epstein hung around these people, had these people come to his parties and had communications with them. So there may be a lot of information that has nothing to do with the sex scandal, just relationships that might raise some questions about what these people were talking about and who they were talking about beyond the actual details of the horrendous scandal.
Absolutely, and I know some of the photographs that were already released this week are certainly raising a lot of eyebrows around the country, maybe even the world. So once again, this is Alan Sanders. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will continue to air some of this interview and some of our later shows today. So right now I'm going to bring in Haley Fixler, who is also covering this story for us today. Haley, thank you so much for coming on here. I know we'll get you situated and whatnot, but today seems like the day that a lot of people have been waiting for.
I'm struggling with my microphone. I am so sorry.
It's okay. This is the real-time
live
TV.
Thank you.
It's your wire shows. I'm no expert here technically, but
it'll do.
Looks great.
Thank you.
So, I mean, what exactly will you be covering? I know you just did a story in the noon show. What's going on?
Yeah, so we're expecting several hundred thousand documents to be released today. That's from the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche. He went on Fox and Friends early this morning and talked about that. Several hundred thousand. That includes photos and files and all sorts of things. This comes after, of course, we got the 68 images yesterday, so a lot to digest. There are some reports that are just coming out that said we may expect this around 3 o'clock this afternoon. There are multiple reports, so that's what we're looking at.
And again, with a situation like this where it's hundreds of thousands of, documents and pieces of information, I mean, is this something where it's going to take days for us to learn, you think, what's in them? Or do you think there's going to be sleuths on this immediately?
I mean, I think people will be examining everything right then and there. But I think it's going to take days just because the sheer amount of information that's going to be coming out. I know that Todd Blanche also said that there's been so many eyes on this since they worked on this, with that November 19th, that initial bill that went into effect. There's been so many eyes on this to, also make sure you see right there, the women's faces are blacked out. So they're going through and they're blocking out all of this information, all of these faces. They're protecting the victims, their stories, their identities, but they're also trying to be transparent here. So it's going to be a lot of eyes on this before and after. And then Blanche also said we could be getting more over the course of the next couple of weeks. So there's a lot coming out.
That really is a lot. And now, where will they be released? Is there a certain website or?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be very public. I know for the 68 images that were released yesterday, it was a Dropbox from the House Oversight Committee. And it won't be hard to find.
Right.
As soon as they're posted, I think every media outlet is going to have a link. You will be able to find them if you so choose.
So, you know, Haley, this isn't a situation where we might get all of the answers today. Then it sounds like this could be a little bit of like a slow trickle over however long it takes.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, several 100,000 released today.
Wow.
And then over the next couple of weeks, we could be getting more. So it's going to be a bit.
You know, it just seems like this entire release of the Epstein files has just been so slow. Do we know yet what time they'll be released?
There are multiple reports that it could be around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Whether or not that happens then, I mean that's just multiple reports, and I saw an email about it maybe 10 minutes ago. So.
All right, well that's more of an update that I had when I started this.
Some new information for you.
We appreciate it. Now Haley Fixler will have all of the updates on the Epstein file release today. What times are you hitting?
4, 5, and 6, and I'm sure we'll have it tonight, tomorrow, next day, you know?
Well, you have a couple hours left before you get super busy going through some of the documents and whatnot. Thank you so much for making time to join me.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to give an update on the Brown University and MIT professor shootings. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Newsroom Live. It's 1:23 on this Friday, just 6 days before Christmas, and we're going to shift gears. I know we just spoke about the Epstein files, but we also had some major updates on the Brown University shooting, which was also now is confirmed to be linked to the shooting of the MIT professor just outside of Boston, Massachusetts last week. Or I guess this week, actually. It's only Friday here, but basically the suspected shooter was found deceased in a storage unit in Salem, New Hampshire, which has now been confirmed by authorities. He's been identified as Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, a 48-year-old Portuguese national. Now, he was a former Brown University graduate student in physics and was enrolled from fall of 2000 to spring 2001. And he also studied in Portugal at the same institute as the MIT professor. Now, authorities believe that they did know each other from that period. And again, this new information was, I guess, it developed rather quickly, it seems, after this multi-state manhunt. They identified the rental car that this suspect is believed to have driven from Rhode Island into Massachusetts, and then again up to New Hampshire, switching the license plates. It was a gray Nissan rental car that they did tow from the scene of this Salem, New Hampshire storage unit. And now that we have information about who this suspect is and The suspect is now confirmed dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The manhunt over, they recovered a satchel and 2 firearms with him. I do want to bring on an expert here. We have Michael Alcazar joining me. He's a former NYPD detective, and he's a professor at John Jay around here in New York City. But, you know, Michael, in a situation like this where, you know, you feel like, okay, the suspect has been identified, he's no longer a threat because he's now deceased, it seems like there's still a lot of question marks in the investigation. I mean, what does the investigation focus on in a situation like this next?
Well, right now, we're going to look at his history. We're going to go do digital forensics. We're going to check his emails. We're going to talk to his friends and family members to find out what his mind state was. You know, we're trying to identify if he had some kind of an ideology. Did he target Brown University for a specific reason? Does he have a journal, a manifesto, right? We're going to check his search history. We've seen a lot of bad guys Googling all kinds of things, and then that might lead to us identifying, you know, what his end game was. So it's a big investigation they're undergoing there. You know, they're going to comb through all that information available through his laptops, through his computers, through his emails. And, you know, as someone who, you know, did work in law enforcement for a long time as a detective and in other roles, I mean, how are authorities able to bypass any locks or anything to get into this man's phone and laptop and other personal materials? I mean, again, he's no longer, you know, alive, so you can't ultimately get a confession out of him. I think you still have to go through the proper process, and you're going to have to still draw out a warrant, you know, to access the information that's in his digital devices. And then, I mean, what steps do investigators need to do to determine whether this person acted alone? Well, again, they're going to execute warrants. They're going to check his residences. They're going to look for any kind of evidence in the car, you know, on his person. They're going to trace back where he bought the guns. Where did he get the guns? You know, is there any other fingerprints on the guns? So they're going to find out. They're definitely going to try to determine if he did work by himself. Again, they're going to do that by checking his digital history. And there's been so much speculation. I mean, if you go on the internet, a lot of people were, you know, spiraling, making up different theories about, you know, what the potential motive could be. I mean, even during the press conference that was held last night, the Providence officials were like, you know, social media has been helpful because it helped us catch this person, but it also is very dangerous because misinformation can be spread and whatnot. I mean, when you look at this as an expert, I mean, how long does it usually take to identify a motive in a case like this? I mean, it's all different, right? It depends how complex this individual was. He lived in a different country for a certain time, so we might have to go look at that history. Did he have any kind of like mental illness? Is there any doctors that we could talk to? I mean, this will be revealed when we interview his friends, his families. You know, we want to find out what the relationship was, if any, with the MIT professor, and why did he specifically attack Brown University other than him attending that school. So it's a lot of behavioral forensics that they have to go through. And this case in particular involved a lot of different agencies. You know, there was the Providence Police and authorities there, then there's the Brookline, Massachusetts State Police, and then obviously federal authorities as well. At this next step, what kind of coordination happens between local and federal agencies now? Like you said, there's a lot of agencies involved. They're all compiling. So when you get like a homicide, right, everyone does interviews, everyone gathers evidence, and then it's all compiled, right? Ideally, it would be for courtroom presentation, but there's no arrest. So they're still compiling the investigative information that they've gathered, and that's how they're going to identify, hopefully, what this individual's motive was. So it's a lot of reading and gathering evidence and processing information. I forgot to say, they're probably canvassing for more video surveillance now that they have a good picture of him, a good ID on him, they're probably going to go through a couple of weeks, maybe even months back in Brown to see when he was there, because maybe he was with other individuals, even in Brookline. Maybe he did have associates. So it's a big investigation. They're going to comb through all that information now that they have his image, and they're going to go back and look for all that digital evidence.
And there's been some discussion about Brown University's lack of cameras on campus, particularly in this one hall where this tragedy unfortunately happened. Does that raise any alarms to you, and just in terms of future potential legal problems for Brown University, if their cameras were potentially turned off or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a huge problem. Even in my college at John Jay, I can't get in there without swiping my ID card. You're not getting in there without any kind of ID. And we are like peppered with surveillance. Mm-hmm. I'm very shocked that Brown University does not have surveillance cameras. They absolutely dropped the ball, right? It didn't cause this individual to do the attack, but it absolutely facilitated in him scouting out the location, right? Checking out where the kids are hanging out when it's the busiest, right? This is a soft target, and this is what bad guys look for, and they have to do their best to harden that target to protect the students, and they absolutely dropped the ball.
Now, Michael, there's reports that it was actually a homeless man who lived in the basement of this hall at Brown University who basically tipped off authorities about who he was. He made a Reddit post and they interviewed him, and he provided a bunch of this critical information. I do know there was a $50,000 reward for any helpful information that led to this suspect. Do you see a tip like this potentially being something that gets a reward from authorities?
I mean, I would hope, if this is the individual that led to the identification of this perpetrator, I would hope they would give him the reward. I hope there's no loophole. From what I said, he posted it on Reddit. He called Crime Stoppers, and then he walked up to the police officers and said, "I'm the guy that you're looking for." To me, that sounds like he deserves the reward, and I hope he gets it.
I know, seriously, and what a crazy story if that's the case. You know, a homeless man following this guy down the street, able to really help retrace a lot of the suspect's footsteps. Now, next steps, I mean, what should the public possibly expect to learn next in this stage of the investigation?
I mean, we should always be aware anyway, you know, when we're in a large public place, especially during this time. A lot of active shooters happen around December and in the nicer weather. But, you know, you should always keep your head in a swivel. Always be alert, you know to run, hide, fight, basics, right? So you're not just a sitting duck. If something happens, make sure you know where all the exits are. I really feel for the students, because that auditorium looked like there might have been just one door, maybe two doors out of there. So it was really a bad situation. So I think everyone should just remain vigilant. And this is something that's happening currently in the climate of our country. So we have to be very careful.
And, before I let you go here, in a situation like this, a case like this, is there any information that just may not ever be released to the public?
We've seen that in the past, right? But I would hope that whatever information they gather, that they release. We've seen them hold information in the past. So is that a possibility? For sure. I don't know why they would hold information. I don't know, if people are identified in his manifesto or in his journal, but I think the public has the right to all that information, especially, the family of the victims.
And again, we got some closure here. I know the community in Providence and in Brookline, Massachusetts are collectively breathing sighs of relief. But from a law enforcement perspective, when is a case like this considered officially closed?
It's probably going to be closed once they've exhausted all the leads trying to identify his motive, right? We may never establish a motive. We may never be able to prove why he did this. So if they do, when they do, hopefully that's probably when they will close the case.
All right. Thank you so much for making time to join me. This is Michael Alcazar. He's a former NYPD detective and a professor at John Jay. Again, thank you so much for coming on and speaking with me about, the latest developments in the investigation of this Brown University and MIT professor shootings here. So now I'm just going to continue talking about this Brown University and MIT shooting a little bit here. We did hear from authorities at a press conference last night. Our Richard Giacobis covered this story at 10 o'clock, but he did find a couple of really useful clips from the press conference. I see we can queue up. This looks like the chief of police in Providence right here, giving an
individual was
update
identified
on the suspect
as Claudio Neves Valenti, date of birth, and he was a 48-year-old man. He was a Brown student. He was a Portuguese national, and his last known address was in Miami, Florida. And I will tell you that he took his own life tonight.
And then we also further heard from authorities here. I'll pull this presser up right here. This looks like this is another authority in Rhode Island. There was a separate press conference held in Massachusetts, but let's hear what they had to say last night. This is about 14 or 15 hours ago from right now.
That person led us to the car, which led us to the name, which led us to the photographs of that individual renting the car, which matched the clothing of our shooter here in Providence, that matched the satchel that we see here in Providence. He was found dead with a satchel, with 2 firearms, and evidence in the car that that matches exactly what we see at the scene here in Providence.
And there we have it. I mean, again, it sounds like this individual who identified himself and approached law enforcement in Providence and basically told them, hey, I think I've interacted with this suspect. I think I, retraced him, followed him down the street near Brown University, provided all of this information to authorities, was the person who gave this entire case a major break. And so in the days to come, we hopefully will hear if this person who's only being identified by the first name John receives a reward or comes forward and does any interviews with media outlets or anything, because I know a lot of people in the Providence community especially are calling him a hero right now. And again, a very sad tragedy with 2 Brown University students killed and 9 other students injured. And we are going to take a break right now, but when we come back, I do have a travel expert joining me because it is 6 days before Christmas. It's Friday, and I think a lot of people will be getting on the road, whether it's today or in the coming days. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Newsroom Live. I'm Meredith Gorman here in the Fox 5 Newsroom in Manhattan. All right, it is the holiday season. Again, it's 6 days before Christmas. A lot of people will be hitting the road, whether it's by air travel or driving or train, whatever method of transportation. Tonight and these next couple of days is expected to be extraordinarily busy for folks going to see their loved ones around the holidays. And today was no real help in terms of weather. This morning there were extremely high winds, as Mike Woods told us earlier in this show, and that did cause some ground stops and major delays at the New York City area airports. For people who are traveling the rest of the day, I do have an update here now. Newark Airport right now, traffic is experiencing delays lasting 15 minutes or less for arrivals and departures, which is great news for people flying out today. Now, JFK, again, having issues earlier in a similar boat right now, 15-minute or less delays in departures and arrivals. And unfortunately, LaGuardia Airport, the main airport, having issues right now in New York City. You can see it on the screen right here, which is a little bit foggy. I wish we could have an arm go and clear off the lens a little bit. Unfortunately, we can't. But due to weather and wind right now, there is a traffic management program in effect for traffic arriving to LaGuardia, and this is causing some arriving flights to be delayed an average of 1 hour and 47 minutes. Now, again, this is due to weather and wind. It doesn't seem like there's many air traffic control issues plaguing the New York City airports, which does tend to be an issue sometimes this time of year, as these New York City airports can get very overwhelmed. But just in terms of sheer numbers of Americans who are expected to travel for the holidays right now, AAA says 122.4 million Americans will travel at least 50 miles from their homes between December 20th and January 1st. So technically, AAA is projecting the travel period to start Saturday, December 20th, which is tomorrow. But, you know, I do technically know some people who are leaving early, so we'll call it today. But joining me right now, actually, is a travel expert. I have Robert Sinclair joining me from AAA. He's always been a very welcome guest to us here at Fox 5. Robert, thanks for coming on.
Thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.
So, you know, we're talking holiday travel, a lot of people hitting the road this weekend. What does holiday travel look like this year compared to last year?
Record breaking. More than 122 million people traveling, and 80% of those, roughly 109 million, will be driving to their destination. And you talk about flying, according to the way we compute these things, 8 million are flying. More than 8 million, and another roughly 5 million are taking some other form of transport, a train, a bus, or a cruise ship, and all record-breaking territory. Every holiday this year has set a record as far as travel is concerned. I think we're still breaking out of the doldrums of the pandemic, and people have built up wanderlust, and they're taking advantage of it. And with 89% driving, nationwide average of 288 per gallon, for unleaded regular gasoline certainly helps a lot.
Wow, that's the lowest I think I've heard it around the holidays in a long time. You know, not sure if that's correct, because living in Manhattan, I'm not seeing a ton of gas stations, but that feels very low. But okay, this is the really important question. I mean, what are the busiest travel days coming up that people should maybe try to avoid?
It's easier to talk about the days that aren't busy. And that's Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. But every day of the holiday travel period, as you mentioned, we measure it from the 20th of December through January 1st. And really, you could say that it starts today. All of those days, we expect traffic to be very busy, really starting around noon or 1 p.m. and going on into the early or late evening, 5, 6, 7 p.m. So if you can travel outside those hours, it would help a lot. Hitting the road sometime before noon or 1 p.m. would help you get to your destination a lot quicker. But again, if you wait till Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, or New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, you should see minimal traffic. And when we are talking about all those other days and lots of traffic, it's going to be in just about every major metropolitan area across the country. So plan ahead. You have to keep in mind that New York City, we're number 8 on the most popular destination list. So you'll have a lot of people leaving our area. You have a lot of people moving through our area and a lot of people coming to our area.
Never a dull moment.
Local travelers need to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Now, listen, you kind of just touched on it, but if you are planning on driving, whether it is into the city or getting out of the city, what do you think is the biggest mistake that folks make or assume during holiday travel?
I would say it's vehicle preparation. Too many of us are just jumping in our vehicles and la-di-dying it and hitting the road. But we are anticipating more than 860,000 breakdowns nationwide during the holiday travel period. I'll repeat that number, 860,000. And flat tires, dead batteries, and people locking themselves out of their vehicle and cooling system problems are the top issues that we get calls for from AAA members. So take care of those things. It might be, it's a pain to get out and check your tire pressure, but it's probably the most important thing that you can do before you hit the road. Making sure your battery is in good shape. You can just do a visual inspection. You're looking for that crusty material around the terminals. You don't want that. That stuff can impede the flow of electricity and keep your vehicle from starting. And even if you're on the road and your battery is weak, it's 3 to 5 years old, you get stuck in traffic, the weather is bad, you've got the lights on, the windshield wipers on, you got the blower for the ventilation on, the radio is on, and you're sitting and moving along slowly in traffic, the alternator isn't putting out enough electricity to power all those functions. So the vehicle system starts pulling from the battery, and if your battery is old and weak and you've got those dirty terminals, all of a sudden the vehicle stops and people can't figure out why.
Robert, you're scaring me. You're scaring me. I have an old car and I'm supposed to hit the road in a couple days. So now I feel like tomorrow on my day off I need to check all of these things out before I hit the road.
Yes, you do, especially for old cars. 10 years or older, you really need to give maintenance a priority, because we know from statistics that once you hit 10 years old, you start having problems. And so you really have to pay attention to maintenance. And I would recommend, and this is, a little self-praise here, that you have a AAA membership so that somebody can come and help you in case you get into trouble. And breaking down during a trip is certainly inconvenient, but it can be dangerous because a lot of our roads lack breakdown lanes. And so you might be stopping in a lane of traffic. And unfortunately, we see a lot of tragedies with first responders, especially tow truck drivers, being injured and killed when they're by the side of the road trying to help somebody when a speeding vehicle goes by. That's why we have slow down, move over laws in all 50 states that say if you see a broken down vehicle or a first responder vehicle by the side of the road with the flashing lights, you're supposed to slow well below the speed limit, and if you can do so safely, change lanes. But we don't want you to get in that situation. Have your vehicle serviced before you hit the road. Okay.
That's right. And okay, so quickly before we switch gears to to flights here, how can somebody get a AAA membership? Is it something they could do same day? Say they're planning on driving out tonight, can they go online and grab one same day?
Absolutely. You can do it when you're by the side of the road. We don't recommend you wait that long. But yes, you can get the AAA membership very easily. You can go online and get that membership immediately. And we've got 3 levels of membership. Of course, if you're a new member, you're going to stick at the first level. But if you're a current member, in fact, we've got a discount going now that you can add associate members. You can add extra members to your membership at a discount. And we heartily recommend that, especially parents. They have children that are new drivers, getting out on the road for the first time. Having that AAA membership is that extra level of security that can help you in case you get into trouble.
Certainly sounds like it, and hopefully people won't have any issues. But again, it sounds like more than 800,000 people will have car issues while traveling, as you just said. But for those who are traveling by air, what do you think is the #1 way for flyers and travelers to avoid delays or cancellations?
You need to have your airline's app on your cell phone so that you can be notified in real time in case there are some problems with your flight. And we're coming out of bad weather today. It looks like we're mostly out of it now. But FAA statistics show that just about 75% of all air traffic control delays nationwide ripple from the New York Tri-State region. We've got 3 major airports and 3 minor airports here. And because of the hub and spoke scheduling system, if New York sneezes, the rest of the country catches a cold. So if we've got problems as far as flight delays are concerned in the New York Tri-State region, it's going to ripple across the whole entire country. So keeping that in mind, if you're going to the airport, you've got a flight coming up, have your airlines app on your phone. You can be notified in real time. It's best to use carry-on luggage and not checked luggage. That way, if there is a problem, you don't get separated from your luggage. And really call ahead, check ahead to make sure there are no problems. We had a lot of cancellations, ground stops, and delays today in our local area because of the bad weather that went through. And that's just an example of what can happen to cause delays and turn the holiday travel into a nightmare. And again, record number of people will be traveling by air, according to our statistics for this holiday.
The carry-on advice for those flying is such great advice, and I feel like as travelers, we're constantly told, bring a carry-on if you can. You don't have to deal with any potential issue with your baggage getting lost or anything like that, and lines and time and stuff. But that is good advice, and advice that I personally certainly should take when I travel, even when it's not the holidays. But you mentioned that the New York City airports can cause a ripple down effect throughout the entire country if there's delays or cancellations. But what should travelers do if they do have a flight that's delayed or canceled? Should they still show up to the airport on time for delays? What's your best advice?
Well, it's been recommended that you have a backup plan in place. And I've even heard some airline CEOs say that you should multiple book, that you can book on one airline for a flight to a certain place at a certain time and book with another airline and do that and have a backup in place. I have heard that there's computer software that would prevent that. I'm not too sure about that, but that's one way of dealing with the situation. But really, the best advice is to book the flight as early in the day as possible. Flight delays usually build up toward the end of the day. So if you're on the 6 a.m. flight, the 5:30 a.m. flight, even if there is a delay, you'll probably still get out in the morning. If you book an afternoon, evening, or late night flight, you might be there overnight. It could happen. So booking the earliest flight as possible is a good way of getting around and having that backup just in case. And, the backup might include jumping on a train or a bus or driving to your destination. Over the years, we've done different surveys, and I remember a survey for some years ago where travelers said that if their destination was 1,000 miles or more away from their point of where they are leaving, I'm forgetting the right word, that they would fly. So 1,000 miles or more, they fly. 1,000 miles or more, they would drive. And driving is overwhelmingly the most popular form of travel because you can leave when you want, you'll have transportation at your destination, and you can come back when you want. So that's always the alternative. But if you're flying, you're a good distance away, there's certain strategies you should have in mind so that if delays come up, you'll be able to deal with them.
And, what's your advice in terms of how early people should arrive at the airport during this holiday travel season?
It used to be 2 hours for a domestic flight, 3 hours for an international flight. You might want to add an hour to each.
Wow.
Because we're still down on the number of air traffic controllers. We are still probably 3,000 air traffic controllers short of where we need to be. And the situation was brought home during the government shutdown. And a lot of them were retiring or calling in sick. And the school that trains air traffic controllers stayed open during the shutdown because that's how serious the need is for air traffic controllers. And the other thing is that we have to realize that we're still using antiquated World War II radar-based equipment for air traffic control. The process of switching over to satellite-based GPS air traffic control is happening now. It's called Next Gen, short for Next Generation. And in fact, the Transportation Commission Secretary has alluded to that changeover, but it's still happening. It's going to take some time. Usually planes are spaced out 2 or 3 miles apart during good weather. When the weather gets bad, because of the antiquated equipment, they have to be spaced out 25 or 50 miles apart. And that's why when the weather is bad, we see these delays, because the planes have to be spaced out so much farther, because they have to have these cushions in case something untoward happens. So more air traffic controllers, more modern, updated equipment to handle the air traffic control, but that's still ongoing. So in the meantime, flyers need to prepare themselves.
Robert, you've been just such a plethora of amazing information here. Before I let you go, what's one last thing that AAA wants travelers to remember before they leave home?
It's very important that we keep its safety in mind. We're coming into a period of the year, the time of year, where we're seeing more and more crashes as a result of impaired driving. And we're talking about impaired by alcohol, and more these days, marijuana. It's very important that if you're going to be driving, if you're going out to an event or something and you plan on drinking, you need to have a sober driver designated. I remember years ago being in Tampa, Florida, and a taxi cab had an illuminated sign on top, and it said, "Have you been drinking? Call me. I'm cheaper than a DUI." And that's the case. You get busted for drunk driving, you will have a lot of trouble. Fines and surcharges and insurance rates going up and attorney's fees in court and license suspensions and all that kind of thing. But it's even more important to keep in mind the danger that you can cause to yourself and others on the road. And in fact, we have information coming out next week that talks about the fact that this at night during the holidays, during the travel period for the year-end holidays, is when we see the most drunk driving crashes, fatalities and injuries. So just that's a very important message to get out to drivers. Do not drink and drive. Don't speed. Don't drive distracted. Wear your seatbelt and keep that cell phone out of your hands. Pay full attention when you're on the road. The safety message is very, very important all the time, but particularly at this time of year.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Robert. That was very helpful for holiday travelers. And we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Newsroom Live. Welcome back to Newsroom Live. I'm Meredith Gorman, and before we wrap things up for the afternoon here on Newsroom Live, we are covering a story today. Our Antoine Lewis is out was out there earlier about fare evasion and how it's been such a big issue for the MTA, costing the agency hundreds of millions of dollars each year. Now, the subway alone is expected to lose about $400 million in unpaid fares this year. And so the MTA has been adding spikes, fins, and plastic paddles to turnstiles at subway stations to make it harder for people to hop over. They are going to be adding those to 100.
Thanks for watching Fox 5 New York. We're now joining live now from Fox.
I want to put this up on your screen because we've gotten this in from the House Judiciary Dems, saying that ranking members, Representative Raskin, and Representative Garcia released this joint statement. This is after Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche confirmed that the Department of Justice will not be releasing the full Epstein files today. The Epstein Files Transparency Act, reluctantly signed into law by Trump in November, set today as the deadline for the Department of Justice to publicly release all Epstein files. And so right now we are getting a shot there from the White House, hearing from my producers. Let's go to it right now as this is underway.